Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the info session for the Baltimore Health Equity Impact Grants information session. We have to, I have to start by sharing information that Dennis Antoine, our Associate Director for this program, he had a conflicting meeting scheduled literally for this very same minute. And what we did late last night, he recorded his part, the introduction. Um, that I will play for everyone. So I apologize for offering you the recording instead of the actual person. We have a plan for this. So I'm Natalie Wiggins. I'm a program administrator at the Johns Hopkins Urban Health Institute. I have my colleague and our operations director, Brandon Bowden, here. Will be present in the session. And I see my other teammate here who is here. Thank you so much for joining to support me with this also. So we will start with, so we'll be here in person. I'm a live person, but apologizing for needing to have the recorded welcome. After that welcome, I will, from Dennis Antoine, I will share a screen and we'll have a brief overview of the demo for the platform that we use. And the majority of the time will be used to answer the questions, the actual questions you have about the program, about your specific proposals, anything and everything to support you to apply. So with this, I will shift the presentation to the viewing.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to give an intro and overview to this year's Baltimore Health Equity Impact Grants development session. This is going to be really an overview of the nuts and bolts of what goes into the application. Alongside this, we'll also have an administrative overview from Natalie Wiggins, who will go into further details about how to submit the application itself. But the key aspects here are just welcoming you to this process. We really look forward to having you as part of the partnership between the community and academic partners within this mechanism. And hopefully this overview will help you and guide you on how to submit a successful application. Overall, we're looking at the specifics of this in terms of the eligibility. Also, we'll get to some of the important dates later on in the presentation in the live portion. And there'll be some requirements that we would want to make sure that you keep in mind as you go through the process so that it would meet all the requirements for application and submission. And then we'll also be able to give you some demonstrations about the process of InfoReady and how to submit the application itself. One of the key aspects that we do want to keep in mind, though, for all applications, and really all the activities for the Urban Health Institute are our guiding principles and best practices for community engagement. And this is something that Johns Hopkins has put out for guiding faculty, essentially, for how to interact with the community and make sure that it's not just a one-time partnership or a grant, but truly a commitment with shared decision making and transparency of communication based in respect and also shared missions and values, hopefully. And the goal here is to build a partnership that can be enduring. We hope that this grant mechanism starts a collaboration and a partnership that goes on beyond the time of the grant process. But it's really important that the community is at the lead of that. Oftentimes in the past, there have been instances where maybe the research project or the grant can drive the whole process, but this process is really intended to be a mutual collaboration that benefits both parties. And within that, we talk about the BHI grants. That's the short way of saying the Baltimore Health Equity Impact Grants. And these grants are specifically engaged for certain things. In this case, research and program development. We try to avoid these grants going towards things that just are strict operations, like paying for staff or just paying for something that would keep an existing operation open. This grant is really to lead for more innovation and stimulation to advance these collaborations to something new. So the key here is who is eligible. And it has to be a student guided by a faculty member or a Hopkins faculty member that is partnered with a Baltimore city-based community organization or agency. We've had applications in the past from people from different states, different counties, but this grant application in particular is geared towards individuals that are for Baltimore City. So we want to keep that in mind as you're preparing your application. And there are different categories of who would receive funding for that. So we want to keep that in mind as well. In terms of the faculty collaboration with the community-based organization, it would be important to keep the budget at $20,000 for a graduate and or a postdoctoral student. That would be something where we'd have a smaller amount at $10,000 and the same lower amount for the undergraduates and or students and the community-based organizations. But at the core of all those, it's very important to make sure we understand that the community-based organization must be at the forefront and a core portion of the application. Otherwise, there would not be the right eligibility for an application. And beyond that, we want to think a little bit more about the depth of the partner eligibility. Student community projects often have come from undergraduates, graduates, and postdocs. They have to be enrolled in the university for the duration of the project, and there needs to be requirements at that point for the trainee, that's the undergraduate or the graduate or postdoc, to participate in all the quarterly training sessions so we can make sure all the information is running in the right direction. And there also must be a faculty advisor checklist that is done along with those student community projects. For the faculty community projects, there can be all ranges of faculty that can apply, but the faculty can only have one BHI grant per the time of their career at that level where they are. So essentially, if a person starts out as an assistant professor, they can only have one application while they're an assistant professor, but if they move up to higher levels, they can have another application. Keep in mind, though, the prioritization of grants is really based off of innovation and also novelty and stimulating newer career applicants. So that would be weighted into the scoring criteria if persons, let's say at the full professor level, were to submit a grant compared to others at the assistant professor level that might also submit grants. And then, as I mentioned before, all projects require at least one collaborating community organization within the Baltimore City, limits there, so that we can meet those criteria. And there must be an individual identified within that organization that would be the lead, and also the application would have their name on it. So if we get to the point of needing any type of documentation, bio sketches, there needs to be at least one individual that would be the lead for that community organization. And really what's important here, something we focus on as we check in with the partnerships over the course of the time, is we look to make sure that the partners and the Hopkins individuals remain involved throughout the course of the project, hoping that leads to collaboration that is fruitful. If there is a change in that, it could lead to a forfeiture in the funding, but we would have discussions with both parties before it got to that point to see what is possible. And again, all of this is based in our guiding principles, which really does state that we want to make sure that the partnerships are grounded in these things that we hold very, very dear to the not just the grants, but all the activities that we do, the commitments, the shared decision making, making sure there's that mutual respect and hopefully benefit from these grant applications, and that there's a sharing of visions and values as we go forth. So within that, it's important to get into the nuts and bolts of the requirements. And this is something that's on the application itself, but I would say it's really important to make sure that one pays attention to the word limits. That's going to be something that's kept in mind. Abstract 200 words, project narrative 1,800 words maximum, and also the community impact 450 words, which allows a person to get some of their ideas out, but does limit to a certain degree how much you can get into one page, so to speak. So please keep in mind about all of those things. The template does provide those word limits in there, and it should be formatted in the sections that we have here in terms of the introduction, specific aims, methods, dissemination plan, and then a brief description of how this will impact the Baltimore City community and advance health equity. And please, early and often look up whether there needs to be some type of institutional review board, IRB application to get this project off the ground. If that is needed, funds would not be distributed to the partnership until the IRB is approved. So please check early, and that's actually a question on the application, whether your project might or might not need an IRB review. Beyond that, in terms of costs, there is also a template provided, but keep in mind for Hopkins individuals, indirect costs are not allowed for this grant, and the community partner must have 50% of the budget allocated to them in order to be eligible for this as well. Along with the financial numerical budget, there would need to be additional thoughts about the budget justification, which would be 600 words maximum. And then, as mentioned before, there would also need to be some type of bio sketch and resume for the different partners, at least one for the faculty, and then at least one or more from the community partner. And those biographical sketches or resumes should be 2 pages or less, which is different from other grants that others might have done before. Along with that, it's important to think about the ongoing information from there. What can be done with the grants and the funds can support all activities justified in the budget, and it needs to be a 12-month continuous budget with the possibility for funding for salary support, but sometimes that can eat up a lot of the budget. And again, this is not just an operational budget. This needs to be a research and really an innovative type process that's going forth here. And it's important also to think about how the money will flow. In particular, once the award notice is put out there, it's good to have in mind who will be the administrative person on the Hopkins side, and then how will the money get from the Hopkins department to the community partner. That's something that we found to be a snag early and often in many grants before. So if you do have questions about that, please feel free to ask that, and we can talk through some of the best practices that have come up in terms of making sure they're timely payments and other issues that we've seen in the past with the Hopkins faculty and the community partners. But we want to make sure that works out well because that can get in the way. Beyond that, there is a set of expectations that we would have once the grant is put out, because that would help a person stay on track with making sure all the things are met, sorry, to get to the end of the grant year and make sure there's a successful collaboration. So there is a requirement, if there's students, as I mentioned before, that the students and the faculty advisors attend the quarterly meetings to ensure that there's best practices used for community engagement. Within that, there's also quarterly grantee trainings to foster co-learning and collaboration, making sure we're optimizing our approach as Urban Health Institute in addition to the partnerships themselves moving forward well. So that would be a great start to make sure that things are going well, and also making sure that reporting requirements are met at the midway point and at the final point, 1 month after the project's end date. Those reports allow us, especially at the midway, to make sure things are going well and to get feedback at the end of the grant cycle to make sure that there are things that we could do differently or what to keep in mind about what happened over the course of the grant so we can disseminate that work. And overall, we also try to market and communicate these activities as best as possible on our website. And that is something that we would really want to do over the course of the year, once you receive the grant and over the course of the year. And that's part of the application agreement that if there are any products and publications that go forth from this grant, that the Urban Health Institute be put into the acknowledgement section, not a co-author, but just saying that the project was supported through a grant from the Johns Hopkins Urban Health Institute. So from there, again, there are going to be different forms and templates. Please keep those in mind as you put your application together. But this is the overall overarching portion of the grant application. After this, we'll switch it over to Natalie so she can go over more of the nuts and bolts of the administration portion, which has to do with setting up the website and putting in the application itself to the InfoReady website. So thank you so much, and I hopefully look forward to you seeing your application and field any questions after this session. Thank you.
So thank you so much for bearing with us. And this was incredible. This went exactly as it was intended. And Dennis Antoine is a champion. And he was, before he became our associate director, he was also one of the grant recipients. So it's um, feels like a full circle moment. So as what you see on the screen is a slide that I will share. Oh, I probably just stopped sharing this. So the slide that was shared on this screen, I will pull it up at a later time. And as I navigate to move forward to the InfoReady demo platform, I have a brief question that I will put in the poll, and they will launch the poll. And the question is, we wanted to find out. So before we move on to this presentation, it's helpful to know who might already be familiar with it. So it will be helpful to know how in depth to go into this, if I should move straight to the Q&A session to answer the questions. So please see this. Here's a poll on your screens, and I'm about to pull up the slide deck that will offer a QR code. So I'll give it another second for people to answer. And the answers that I'm seeing so far is exactly what was anticipated. Some folks are already familiar with it. And I'll give it just another second. And that was the promised slide. Okay, so I will share the results of the poll that we apparently have at least one person who's familiar with this platform. It's fantastic. So it's exactly the purpose of this. So it's the purpose of this time so that we can offer you some familiarity and just briefly look over some quick details. So first of all, so on the following slides, you will see some screenshots that So these slides are from our website. So it is, you can see our homepage. From our homepage, you can navigate to the landing page for this funding opportunity. So on the left side of the screen, you see the screenshot from this morning. And if you scroll further down, you will see the Baltimore Health Equity Impact Grant widget. You can also find your way to get there through the What We Do part, located at the top of the screen, top of the web page. And on the right side is the screenshot of the web page itself. But before we dive into the details, so very broadly about this platform. So to accept grant proposals and also program nominations for another UHI award, we're using this platform. It was specifically tailored for our university-wide programs. And the beautiful benefit of this platform is that it ensures that both Johns Hopkins and community collaborators, they can work on the nomination or in the proposal at the same time. So it allows all involved in the process to have access to all relevant information, to have access to documentation, make sure that information is current and most importantly safe. So overall, we hope to make this platform the application form easy to use and navigate. But if we haven't, please, we want to hear from you. We take feedback seriously, and year after year, it's a recurrent program since 2008. Uh, it's beautiful for us to it's been a great my personal privilege to improve the process, clarify, simplify, to encourage applications and support this important incredible community focused work that you guys are doing, plan on doing. So please do reach out. So to navigate to the submission page, how to submit a proposal, you would want to click. So on the right side, you see the landing page. You will click on the request for proposals button to see the next screen. This web page includes all the important dates. It has information, just like brief summary of what can you expect from the application process overall. So like at what point would you want to reach out to your grant partner? At what point you would want to start working on a draft? And the answer is very early. Don't wait till the last minute. Don't wait till 4:55 on July 1. We want everyone to enjoy the America's holiday. So, and that page also includes, so on the right side, you can see an accordion. in the same format, we provided some frequently asked questions as well. So not only you can get the information about the proposals, about eligibility, you can also use that place, that location to get some of the answers, some of the most commonly asked questions about the platform itself. And as you log into the info ready, so first you would want to, and I see my little button, my little sunshine, my little sun got moved from the right place. So you would want to make sure that you are on the correct info ready page. The login button is located at the top, utmost top right corner of the screen. And the first part with that, let me see, there it is. Bear with me just for a second. So the very first step would be to register with the InfoReady. So Johns Hopkins affiliates, so students, faculty, um, can use the Johns Hopkins University login, which is connected to their JET ID. Login for all other users is located just a little bit further down on the page. So be sure to scroll down. You would need to register only one, and you would be able to not only apply for this funding opportunity, but also see what other university community collaborations are available university wide. So it's a really incredible platform that is made to us available. And the as you if you don't have the account, be sure to really scroll and find that register button. And the next slide, you will see some of the screenshots of slides you might have already. If you logged in, if you went to the portal, if you went to the website, this is what you can expect to see. So all supporting documents that are on our website are also placed duplicated on the InfoReady portal. So you can see it under the details and direct link. So when you click on it, it will download a file directly to your computer. So you can use the supporting documents to gather materials, respond to the prompts, and apologies, I see there's a typo. So refer to the call for proposals throughout the process. So it's intended to be, so the proposal and some of the specific detailed fields are intended to guide and simplify the process. So it might come off as cumbersome, but really intention is to make make it available and accessible for both community partner and Johns Hopkins partner, and those who might have never applied for a grant before, to be empowered to, hey, let me try this one thing. So hopefully that will be your experience, and you can always reach out to us. Via website, by email. So we want to hear from you. On this slide, it's another screenshot. So when you, let me see, I think it was on the previous page. Here on this side, so when there you will see there are two tabs. One includes the details. From the very same location, you can click to submit your proposal, and this is the where you would see these sections. So it has a menu on the left side which indicates all sections that are part of this proposal, and here are some screenshots. You can see what it looks like, so just click through them and be sure, like in the bottom left side of the screen, you can see a progress bar that indicates and allows you to switch between sections easily. And you can see that it's like page such and such, and you can save it as a draft to come back at a later time. And I believe we are at the ending section of this demonstration. So the key part, one of the most interesting, like I'm baffled with this, and I find myself like I did the same exact thing. One of the most common troubleshooting happens, like where's this save as a draft button and where it is to submit. So sometimes you will get an error. Sometimes users, sometimes partners would reach out to us with the question, I am unable to submit the application. I'm unable to move forward with this. And there's a teeny tiny, almost invisible, like, and I'm looking at my screen, it is not contrasting and not enough not contrasting, not check mark. You would need to check off this acknowledgement that will make that submit page visible. So submit nomination once you have everything completed. And there's something that's also included, there's something that's optional, but encouraged after you submit your proposal. So this is included on the request for proposals webpage, but something that is encouraged is something that Dr. Antoine mentioned in his section about payments. So one of the biggest time consuming or challenging issues, systemic issues, is about payments between the organizations. So we unfortunately we're aware that collaborating community organizations, they have experienced delays in receiving the payment, and this is exactly something that we are striving to improve through communication, through openness. That this is something that is happening, and this is a an attempt to improve that part. So as it meant to be a collaborative effort, collaborative application, the community organizations would need to turn to their Hopkins partner and work with them to start the process early. So there might be some questions like if you don't even know if you're funded yet, it's a little bit too early. You guys are partnering, you plan on working together, it's worth it to start the process and get set up as a vendor profile. So when the time comes, be it with our funding opportunity or other work that this faculty or student might be doing, it's that is what this slide is about. And let me see. And I see a question in the chat. Can you please provide a direct link to the platform? The direct link to the platform. Sorry, give me one more brief. Absolutely, I will come back to this, but let me make sure I didn't miss anything. So we'll answer this question. We are at the question answering session of this presentation, and I will stop sharing the screen so I can see and navigate between the questions. Please use the Q&A window to submit. You can upvote questions there, and you can also raise your hand if you'd like to come off mute and be on the record when you ask a question. So with that, I am here, and I see Brandon shared that link, and ooh, yes, exactly, that's the link. Thank you so much, Brandon. Thank you. Go ahead, Maya. I see that you have a question. Would you like to go off mute?
Sorry, I was waiting for the unmute permissions. Thank you. Yeah, my question is, so I realized that, of course, and it's great that part of the grant can go directly to the community-based organization. I wanted to know, if there were any specifications on how the organization uses the funds and what that amount can actually be used for.
That's excellent question. This, I believe it's elaborated more specifically. And let me see if I can provide that link. So I know we've seen it in our Q&A session. So the attempt to, so some of the funds we've seen being used and being approved to be used. If there are some administrative or salary support of needs for the community-based organizations, if there are some materials that need to be purchased, if there's some equipment, if there's some software that community gets to keep after this grant, that's also can be considered as an eligible as that part of the. Oh, and I see you get yourself off mute.
Yeah, sorry, I was just trying to minimize. But yeah, anyway, the I think my follow-up is one thing that would be great to I think use the funds for would be stipends for some of the individuals who work with the community-based organization? That's okay. Okay, right?
Absolutely. Yes. Gift
Perfect.
cards. So for the participants, for the interviews, the incentives for those who are being interviewed.
Mhm.
Yes, that's all of those are
Subject matter
eligible.
expertise.
Hmm.
Perfect. And then
Absolutely.
one last question. I promise I'll be done.
Keep them
Um,
coming. All of them. Keep them coming.
okay, incredible. So at the and I'm sure that this is written somewhere, so I apologize. But as far as I know that it was written that some of the money can be allocated towards personnel costs. How much can be allocated and how much per personnel, if that is something that's specified?
Uh-huh. Let me see. It's I would imagine it's in our budget template. So let me pull it up specifically. Ah, and of course it made me download it. It can't just present. Okay. The budget form template, and we'll pull it up also on this screen. Mhm.
I guess it says at least 50% of the budget must be used for the expenses. I guess I don't know if I see anything specifically about what the
Yep.
remaining 50 can be used for, but
Hmm. Come on, come on. Of course, my computer now freezes. Is it? Okay, here we go. I'm scrolling a little bit further. Um, Further, just okay. Nope, this doesn't answer your question. I know we had a place where it was indicated. I'm just stumbling for a second where it's located. It is in the detailed request for proposals. So it will be. It's the this request for proposals is a printer-friendly version of what's listed on our webpage, and the detailed expenses are on one of the pages a little bit further down. So budget justification, but then the funding details.
I don't know if you're trying to show a different screen, but right now I think I
Thank
still
you.
see the budget form template.
Yes, I intended to share the screen altogether. Is this the screen? There we go. Screen number, this screen.
There we go.
Thank you.
Nice.
Um, it seems to me like it's a very good question. So it almost feels like but we would be able to answer it more specifically if we know more details about what exact work you're trying to do. So we can dive into this right now and see what it is, or we can get back to you, like schedule some time and answer your questions some specifically. So whatever will be most helpful.
Sure. I'm happy to share like a little bit, but I don't want to
Mhm.
obviously take up too much time from everybody else. So I'll just kind of be brief. And if we need to schedule extra time, I'd appreciate that. But basically, the project is with a youth-focused community-based organization in the Baltimore area. And as part of it, we're offering basically like we want youth perspectives on every piece of it, which is why I think the stipends come into play. However, it's really important for me that this project impact policy in a clearer way, like like local Baltimore policy, because I think it has potential for that. And so as a result, I might want to offer an honorarium towards essentially somebody perhaps within the Hopkins community that has some of those ties on the policy scale, in order to kind of essentially help influence that. I think the other aspect is like I am currently volunteering with the community-based
Mhm.
organization, which I love doing. However, I think this particular project is going to take a lot of extra work, like an extra, probably 10 to 15 hours a week. And so if there's a way that part of the UHI grant could cover personal fees for me, that would be
Mhm.
fantastic. And so I don't really intend to, take the full 50%. I think that would be a lot. But I do kind of want to know, in case there's another person that I bring in as an RA or anything, how much per individual and how much of that remaining 50% can be used for personnel.
All the good questions, Anna. So Brandon.
Yeah, I think the way you're writing it up, it sounds like it would definitely align with what we have. We don't have restrictions right now on how much of that could go to personnel. But of course, we're going to look at the rest of the application to make sure it makes sense. And everything you explained here makes a lot of sense. I think it's just making sure your narrative and the justification aligns when we look at the budget sheet.
Okay, that's great to know. Thank you so much.
And we certainly seen proposals and proposals were funded when half is used by the expertise and experience of the Johns Hopkins partner. So it's absolutely a reasonable request.
Okay, fantastic. And then I think the final question I'll ask, I think I said that last time, so oops, but is so the original partnership with the CBO is being funded through another large grant. However, the project I'm proposing is its own project entirely that currently doesn't have funding. But I do want to say that the original relationship that I developed through the organization with the organization was through a different grant mechanism altogether. Is that still okay? I just want
Absolutely.
to make sure it's not considered double dipping or anything like that.
Nope, absolutely. This is fantastic, incredible. This is it reflects the so huge kudos for you to really find something like this incredible partnerships. Absolutely. There's this section
It's a great
to
organization. I'm just
yeah.
honored to be with them. So,
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely. Just mention this.
Yeah.
And
Thank
especially
you.
it's if you have we've seen proposals and we funded proposals that there's a multi-section, multi-phased work
Great.
being done. So there's a part of the without going to specifics, and like, this is being funded by one major organization, and it's mentioned in the proposal that the UHI funds
Mhm.
from this grant can cover, let's say, like in-person presentations, like a day, fun day with that specific community. They get some screen time, so something like of that scale. So it just matter, just being include the details, be transparent that it's this is exactly how the funds of from this proposal will be used to
Okay.
support. This is what it is, and it's bigger than that so that when if there are competing funding decisions, and actually I want to mention this for all who would watch this later, the if having received funding or more bigger amount than what we're offering does not preclude you from receiving this grant. This funding opportunity is intended as a seed funding, intended to encourage partnerships and like do something specifically community focused that perhaps like some other funding structures could be like way too restrictive. So it's we come to reviewing these proposals and nominations in attempt to fund if it really truly if it's really truly a partnership, truly collaboration, that's from the place where we try functioning with this program.
Thank you both so much, Natalie and Brandon. Appreciate all your.
Of course. So glad we could answer. And I see that we have other folks here present in the space. If you would like to introduce yourself, if you'd like to share a little bit about what you're planning to, what are you working on, what are you planning on submitting, and if you're not sure yet, um, if you can, if you're willing to come off mute and put in the chat, I would like to engage with you also. Otherwise, we can stay in the space a little bit longer and just stop the recording and just use this space to answer other questions. Okay, thank you. Hi, Libby. Would you like to come off mute?
Hi, sorry, it was hard to come off mute for a second there. But thank you so much for all of this great information. I am super excited to be learning about all of this. And I kind of just heard about UHI, but the project that I'm thinking about working on is kind of a continuation of a project I've been doing with a community clinic here in Baltimore. And also a youth serving project. I created a youth health and wellness workshop series, and we're going to be piloting the series with another community partner in the fall. So this would help kind of support that, but still kind of figuring out how exactly I want to do the application because I've never applied to a grant before. So that would be super exciting.
Oh, sounds fantastic. Hmm. Good luck. Like looking forward to receiving the application. If you have any questions, again, like reach out to us, ask questions, and Dennis definitely will be available also. So it won't be just us. He is a faculty associate director for this program. He's definitely available and want to encourage you to apply. And I see a question in the chat. So we're planning to request funds for hygiene kits in the local Baltimore City area, trying to connect with JHU student, etc. Okay, so it sounds like you might be looking for a partner. It sounds like you were from a community-based, might be from a community-based organization. You're looking for somebody to work with. Thank you so much. And I see that's the answer. If you would like us to support you with, oh, you can unmute. Thank you, thank you, thank you. How about now?
Much better. Thank
Ah,
you. Good afternoon. So I'm with Grace Helping Hands, and we provide hygiene kits to the Baltimore City area. And what we are trying to do is connect with either a JHU student slash JHU, what do you call it?
faculty.
Yes, to see if we can continue or submit a grant where but mainly we are part of the community and we provide these hygiene kits um to the community. And so we're just trying to figure out what is the best way to go about applying for the grants and how to connect with a partner. I think our biggest thing is connecting with a partner that can help us with the partnership and collaboration aspect of the grant itself.
Oh, that's a really good question. Thank you so much for asking this. And I'm actually taking note so that we can follow up with you offline. One of the one of the ways, so yes, absolutely, this you can use a grant. We can connect you with some other Hopkins entities, departments, or like send you some links where you can ask folks directly. Absolutely, we can try to connect
Mm-hmm.
you. Also, at the UHL, we have a co-sponsorship opportunity. So for some of the, Brandon, you wanna, was it a yes, no?
No,
I know we,
I think Manuela may be in that pipeline. Sounds familiar, Grace Helping Hands.
ah, mhm, mhm,
Yeah.
yes. So like, would you like to speak about this program? I know that this, all right, here we go, I'm muting.
No, yeah, sure. Other opportunities that exist within the university, or excuse me, within UHI, we offer co-sponsorship awards. I'm not sure if Manuela, if you all have, I've definitely seen the organization, so I'm familiar.
Yeah, we've reached out. But I actually just went on your website and it says you guys are opening in July 1st. Like
Yep.
you'll start opening for that particular co-sponsorship, but I'm
Mhm.
specifically looking for grants where it's more than just a co-sponsorship where we can actually use to actually continue to facilitate getting more. The interesting thing is that the demand is we're now getting requests for more kits. However, there's no funding coming in, so we're trying to find ways where we can connect with different organizations, specifically UHI. I want to say JHU, UHI. By the way, does being a JHU alumni count?
For this partnership or
Yeah,
just in general? For this one, you would not be able to serve as in the alumni role as faculty or
darn,
student. Um,
darn.
but it's a current enrollment or faculty position that has to be the sponsor for that, just because of we're providing the funds through the home department of that student or the student's advisor, excuse me, or the faculty member. And so that's why you still need that current affiliation with the university.
All right. Does it have to be a UHI student or any JHU student?
Any JHU student.
Okay. All right.
I added in the chat one of the organizations that came to mind immediately is the JHU Source, a student outreach and community engagement and service learning center. They work specifically with the schools of public health, nursing, and medicine on the East Baltimore side. If you're looking for a student, you can start there, and we'll certainly look. I will ask Dr. Antoine about his thoughts, who on the faculty side he can connect us with.
Okay, great. Thank you both for answering my questions. I was trying to go off mute and I was like, oh, I can't get unmuted. But thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you. Looking forward to getting your proposal. And I see
That
another person. Go ahead.
just in as far as one thing that a lot of folks approach this grant with is great ideas and wanting to connect with faculty or students who have similar interest. Dennis is a great connector and very in tune with what's going on around campus, but it's limited capacity, and so unfortunately we don't have a matchmaking engine yet. And so we can do our best to match folks when needed, but it is not guaranteed. I just wanted to flag that for Dennis's capacity and sake. I mean, excuse me, Dr. Antoine.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Hi, thank you so much for all the information that you provided in this session. The project that we are hoping to propose is to work with overdose response teams on providing some mental health awareness or linkage to mental health care for bystanders or people who witness overdoses. But we're still like trying to figure this out. A question that I had was, does this have to be a single student application or could it be two students submitting one application together?
That's a great question, and we definitely get this. The short answer is yes, it could be to students. What's needed, what's actually the request to have to, how can I answer this? The primary person who, if there's a way to indicate if there's one person who is the primary, that'll be helpful. So if we had certainly funded the proposals that were ran by two students, so each of the students would have to have a faculty advisor. So if it's the same advisor, if and he can that person, that advisor can communicate through the application or through that required support checklist, that this is something that would work. So like there's a good dynamic between two students. Everybody gets along and like the project will work out. Absolutely. So we've had that. We've done this before, and the form, the way it's set up, there are fields to make sure that there's specific fields where you can include all the emails, all the information of all collaborating partners, uh, just for the purposes of who is the person who will communicate further. Be on the lookout for that specific field to enter the information. Other than that, absolutely.
I was just going to say thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I see another person coming off mute.
Hello.
Hi.
It's very nice to meet all of you. It's nice to put names to face, or I suppose faces to names. My name is Megan Eisentrout. I am the grants coordinator over at Helping at Mission. We are an addiction. I'm seeing nodding. So for those of you who don't know us, we are an addiction recovery center. We're actually like right across the street from the Ronald McDonald House. So one of the questions that I have is, I was wondering whether a CBO can be the partner of two different Hopkins entities in two different categories at the same time.
Let me make sure that I understand this. So CBO be okay. So the work that will be done, that will be outlined in the proposal, would it be, how do you envision that to be? So two different partners. So who is doing which part? Can we dive into this a little bit deeper, because to answer this?
Yeah, absolutely. And if we need to talk offline, I'm happy to talk offline. Yeah, so we have two different Hopkins entities in partnership with us. We have Cornerstone that partners with us. They come onto our campus, and then we have Peabody at the Shelter who partners with us for music. And so both entities, for lack of a better term, we're looking to partner with both of them, but separately from one another to apply for this grant.
So it sounds like
Makes
two
more sense.
proposals would be.
Yes, we're looking at two different proposals, and we just want to make sure that we can do that.
Yes. And
Okay.
Brandon, yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to add, be mindful of the history of applications, right? Like if there's a piece of one of your programs that have already come through this grant mechanism, or one of your internal partners that have already come through this grant mechanism. I know that lots of folks are working with Helping Up Mission, so just I think communicating with the partners to be sure they haven't already come through this mechanism is going to be important. And go if they should be two strong applications, right? Because now you're
Okay.
competing with yourself. And so think about the projects and what might be most impactful for this mechanism. If they're both strong candidates, then I say submit them both, but also if not, use the energy wisely.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Mhm.
And also go to our website and use the search button at the top and enter Peabody at the shelter. It was actually one of the past recipients. So we actually want to bring up our website as a resource. If you guys want to see any previously funded work, most of the page we've been our communications associate, Amoja Grace. She's been doing magical work with our website. Like you'll see a lot of new things there, and this was the past applications and abstracts is one of the things she's working in. So if you see something, so it's like, sorry, it's a work in progress, but it's really incredible information. You can see our past awarded projects and their abstracts, which describes the work that was funded. So if you come across one of the years that doesn't have that, just reach out to us. We'll share this. It's just we are upgrading the website gradually.
I think just Megan, I just want to be clear for any other community organizations or community-based organizations that are considering multiple applications, we do not disqualify if there are multiple entries. And so it's just a matter of the clarity, the strength of the application, and it'll be evaluated just as the other ones will be.
Well, thank you, everyone. Just be mindful of the time. It's 1:55. We can wrap up early or stay a little bit longer to answer any of your questions. But it sounds like quite a few interesting projects are in the pipeline. So I'm looking forward to hearing, receiving information from you. I can share just another brief slide, something that you guys, especially for those who just learned about us, about the Urban Health Institute, one of the other ways that you can engage, sure. One of the other ways that you can engage with us with the UHI, we have a community speakers bureau, and we also, you might see it on our backgrounds, we are celebrating 25 years of advancing health equity in Baltimore. So you can visit on our web landing webpage, our main website, and check out the campaign of Baltimore Voices. I am UHI. Now let's see. With that, with that, I can stop sharing the screen. And good luck, everyone. Looking forward to seeing your nominations.